Welcome to the Ray Bros Nerd Show. I am your host, Jonathan, with my brother, Zach.
What's up, guys?
And we're episode 11, Post-Holiday Breakage, which was Christmas and New Year's, if you celebrate. So we've been thinking about doing like a top 10. Like the first thing we can cover, if you want to, is do a top 10 games we played in 2016. We were going to do a top 10 games of 2016 total, but I told my brother, Zach, that I didn't play enough games that came out in 2016, but I thought it'd be still cool if we just did top 10 games that we played in 2016. So it'd be a neat little idea. So if you want, we can go back and forth. Like I'll do my number 10, you can do your number 10, or do you just want to go 10 through 1?
No, we can go back and forth. So you want to start at 10 is what you're saying?
Yeah, and then go up to 1. Like so it's like a count up or down? No, it's a count up technically. Number 1 is our favorite, and number 10 is it's still within our favorite, but it's like the least of the 10, you know.
Well, then I guess I'd say first, like, we get the honorable mentions out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, you only had one, so you can go ahead.
Yeah, my one honorable mention is Dead Rising 5. And the only reason why it's honorable mention, because, like, the games... Or 4, sorry, I don't know why I said 5. The games that I played on my list, I've played for extended periods of time. So far with Dead Rising, I've only played it for, like, 2 hours, 3 hours tops. But I wanted to make sure that I got to talk about how... As a zombie game, it's so much fun so far of what I played from it. The missions so far make sense. I have only played a couple hours, but it's like I already threw my guy in a shark jumpsuit. I already threw my guy has like an acid-inducing like axe to him. So when I hit a zombie, kill a zombie, it lays out acid around me. So the other ones will like walk on it and like get killed that way. And I've also like customized one of my... It's easy to do, but one of my crossbows to have like fireworks explosions. So what it'll do is like if I hit you with it or hit a zombie or a person with it, excuse me, it'll go on them, explode, and then shoot off a firework. And it's just like, oh my god, like the game is just like, it's not perfect. I've already had some glitch issues with it or whatever, and the music is like kind of strange, especially now that I'm playing it post holidays or whatever. Yeah. Because it's kind of like based on holidays. I don't want to take too much time on it. But maybe another podcast I'll spend more time talking about it or whatever. Because I've only played a couple hours. But it's just fun. And as a video game person, like that's one of the first things I always like look for in a game to like entertain me. Yeah. And so far the comedy has made sense. For the most part, it's hit or miss. The audio it's fine. But the gameplay is like... so great to me. Like I have so much fun playing it. So that's my one honorable mention.
Well, and we're gonna swing back around to that because, as you can tell, if John's playing Dead Rising, that means he got a pretty little Christmas present.
Yeah.
But we'll touch upon that, I think, when we, towards the end or whatever. Actually, I'm gonna have you look at these. Are any of these on your top 10? Because then I'll leave them off.
No.
Okay.
Well, technically this one is, but it's the one specific gameplay. We'll get to it.
Which is fine, because mine's the other one.
Okay, that's fine.
So basically I just have these honorable mentions, ones that, like, they had something that stood out, but as an overall package weren't good. I can't say weren't good, but for one reason or another, they're interesting to me. The first one was Mafia 3. That... if you've listened to the podcast, that was a fucking roller coaster with me, where it's like, when I first got it, that first 2 hours of that game was amazing. Yeah. Awesome. And if they would have stuck to the formula of Mafia 2, I almost would have preferred it, where they didn't have the whole, like, open world, just have us cruise around in the car and talk to characters in the open world. Like, don't do these. So, the gameplay, because of that, kind of became a slog to where I'd rush towards the end. But Mafia 3's story and characters, voice acting, like, were awesome. The actual missions where you were killing the top dogs were awesome. But because of the monotony of the rest of the game, like, it didn't make my top 10. For me, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare's campaign was one of the best shooter campaigns I've played in a while. in a year full of great shooters. I've got, 2 first-person shooters on my top 10 that are amazing. For me, though, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare's multiplayer was terrible. I liked having fun playing zombies with John a little bit, but for me, there's not enough progression. There's not enough, change, which the DLC, I think, is coming out soon, and I know you're going to pick that up.
I want to get that DLC.
It's $15, or you can get the season pass and get all 3 of them.
It almost, I've never done it, but it almost makes me invest in the season pass.
Yeah.
To see, because the new, oh god, okay, I know we're trying to stay compact here, but the new DLC that's coming out for Infinite Warfare Zombies, you know what, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, you can touch
on my countdown.
Yeah.
Which, that's a sneak peek, I guess.
Spoilers.
Spoiler before the spoiler.
But the campaign was awesome. Like, you did ground combat, you did jackal fights where you're up in the air in the, like, starship, which controlled super smooth. It was like, it made no sense theoretically because you could stop on a dime and basically just turn into a first-person shooter in a spaceship.
Yeah.
But it was still, like, super engaging and fun, so... And then there was also side missions on top of that. And then that is only the second game to ever make me cry. Mm. Did I ever tell?
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah.
Because it's like really war heavy. It's really emotional when it comes to that or whatever.
Did I tell you about the end credits? What they do in the end credits?
No, I think you were saving it for me to do. Like actually play, which I haven't got to yet. I still have the game. I just haven't got to it yet.
I almost want to spoil it just so it's justified. But... It's an honorable mention. It's not on my top 10, but it is really damn good. Next one I have... Now, this one is tricky. Dishonored 2, it's one of those games where I know for a fact it would be on my top 10 list, outside of the fact that I have to be in the mood to play a stealth game.
Yeah.
And when I'm playing a game like Dishonored 2 or Deus Ex, I usually, on my first run-through, try to go completely ghost. Not get caught, not kill anybody unless you absolutely have to, which in Dishonored 2, I know for a fact you don't have to kill a soul.
Yeah.
So that's how I like playing those games, especially, like, in this one, it makes even more sense because it's like you're almost proving, like, that's a story thing, but that's the mood I have to be, but I played it for 2-3 hours, and I loved it, but I just wasn't in the mood for a stealth game. So, most likely, because I bought the physical copy real cheap, I'm going to trade that in and get the digital copy because I got that even cheaper than the fucking physical copy I bought, which then I'm going to trade in and get more for them. So, it's basically like, I paid the lower price and I'm making my money back.
Yeah.
So in that way,
that.
in that way, once I'm ready for it, I don't have to go to GameStop. I don't have to see how much it is. I'm going to be able to just pick it up. So look out for that on next year's top 10 because the game is awesome. It's just I didn't play enough. My next one, this one, when we were talking about doing the top 10 list, we didn't want these to be games that like were from this year. Like it didn't have to absolutely be a 2016 game
release. Yeah,
it had to be a game that stood out to us for one reason or another that we enjoyed for whatever reason, not hold by those constraints of like a lot of the gaming websites and stuff.
Yeah, they do it where it has to be, which they have more funding and time for that kind of thing.
Yeah, like Giant Bomb, they actually record their deliberations for their game of the year.
Yeah.
They have like fun categories, and each category they have like 2 runners up and 1 winner, and some of them are like based on the game industry, not just games. And then they do the full top 10 list, and like these dudes get mean sometimes when they're doing the top 10 list because they're like, no, that game is terrible. Like it shouldn't be on here. Like, so that's a podcast that I'm obsessed with. Like,
which you should be obsessed with ours.
Yeah. But the Giant Bombcast has like been around for a long time and they do it best. And it's like during that week when they post those, each episode is close to 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And you get 5 episodes. So that's like 15 hours of podcast.
Which ours is getting close.
Close.
Sorry, I'm a horrible self-promoter.
Yeah. Like, shut up.
Yeah, come on. Rainbow No Show. Follow us on Twitter.
But anyways, like why I was saying that is because the next honorable mention I have is a very old game. I did my 3rd playthrough this year of Final Fantasy VI.
Oh.
To me, it is still my favorite Final Fantasy, even though 1 certainly is right next to it and probably equal to it just as a modern one as opposed to an old one. But Final Fantasy VI is nuts.
Yeah.
And if you haven't played it, there's like a change in the middle of the game that like turns everything you've been doing on its head. You can uppercut a fucking flying fortress.
Nice.
Yeah, the game is nuts. It's awesome. I just wanted to shout it out. If you never played Final Fantasy VI, people, play Final Fantasy VI. Like, you can get it just about anywhere except for Xbox. You can even get it on your phones.
Which does that? I don't know. Playing a Final Fantasy game on your phone,
it makes perfect sense.
But are the controllers on the screen?
Well, I mean, you got to figure all you do is like. You'll have like your virtual D-pad.
Yeah. Because
you can only go the 4 cardinal directions.
Oh God, I'm getting old because I'm that guy now that is like arguing against like mobile platformers. Like.
Yeah, I mean, because you got to figure there's not a lot of action. You just walk. The only tough part would be when you
choose action. Yeah.
Yeah. The only difficult thing, I guess, would be like Chocobo.
But that thing's got to be a battery killer. Easily.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Like, that's like I wouldn't play it that way. I'm just saying, if you haven't played it, like...
Yeah, it's a way to play it.
It's a way to play it. But, like, I played through it on my Vita TV, which is just a Vita, but it hooks into your TV.
Yeah.
So that's how I play all my, like, JRPGs and stuff.
And I guess I shouldn't be so harsh on mobile gaming, because I feel like that's kind of, like, what things are the way are trending, you know? But still, to me, it's, like, hard to think, like... Because I have mobile games, but they make sense when it comes to touch compatibility. Yeah, but to have a D-pad on screen,
I can't even stand the mobile games made for mobile. Like,
yeah,
like
I didn't.
To get a
I thought about putting one in my top 10 because I play it all the time, but I'm like, no, get out of here.
What game is it?
Clash of Clans, probably.
You're the worst.
Yeah, I like the little goblins and.
Oh God. No, but to each his own. But anyway, so Final Fantasy VI, the last one. I would normally count it, but I'm not going to count it. Even though it's like it was longer than most full games are.
Yeah.
It still wasn't a full game. It's Witcher 3 Blood and Wine. It is I put 40 hours into this DLC.
Yeah.
Like, and
which is really unheard of.
Yeah, and it was awesome. And like the story that you go through, one of the characters in the DLC is actually from the books, and he's a really awesome like vampire who's like stopped, drinking blood, and like if you've read the books, like that whole story and that character stand out so much more. So I wanted to shout that out as well, because The Witcher 3 to me is like, if we're doing all-time favorite games,
yeah,
Witcher 3 takes it without any kind of fight from any game ever made. It is so good. Like,
is it better than Pitfall and Atari?
Yeah, because I mean, you can't just go left and right. You can go all around.
All around, yeah.
So
that was a stupid question.
those were my honorable mentions. I felt the need to shout them out because, like, when I was building my list, I was just like, we wanted to make these very personal lists, and mine even this, because you'll see there's a reason why there's 2 games especially on my list that could be replaced by one of the games I just mentioned, but those were important for a different reason.
Yeah, and that's the problem sometimes with top 10s is like it's your personal like ideology and it's your personal experience, So like, but still, like when you hear somebody's top 10, and I get into it too. I'm like, why didn't they pick this, or why didn't they choose that, or blah 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 blah. So it's, but it, like when we talked about this, we wanted to make sure it was something that we both kind of, understood like the ground rules for it or whatever. So if you want, I could start with my number 10, and then you can go, and then we'll just go back and forth.
Yeah, and we can just, I'd say whatever your number, like, this might be a couple minutes longer of a podcast, but I'd say, like, talk about the game, even if it's just for a little bit. Just, like, what you liked about it, why it stands out.
Yeah. So my number 10, after my honorable mentions, is there's a game that came out, well, it's multiple games, but it's on one disc, that came out for Xbox One called Rare Replay. And what that is it's, like, all the Rare games, and you can play it, like, on your Xbox One or whatever.
Yeah.
And the one that I chose a game on that, so it might sound weird, but it is a full game.
But I mean, you could just do the rare replay, and then this one was your highlight. Like,
yeah, my rare replay. I played a lot of games on it. And I even done some of the challenges, but the highlight one on there, and it might surprise you. I've had a long day. Is Battletoads Arcade. It took everything wrong with the original Battletoads and made it amazing.
I used to work at GameStop, so I hate Battletoads.
Really?
You know how many times I got that prank call?
Really?
All the time. Hey, do you guys have Battletoads?
Why would somebody prank call you?
You never seen the video?
No, I'll have to watch that later. I have to watch that. Anyways, beyond my brother being tortured by that game,
fuck Battletoads.
What's amazing about Battletoads Arcade is it's super violent, like more violent than the last one, to the point where like there's blood splattering out from the characters that you're killing. Like one of the characters, when he punches down, it turns into a drill saw and like drills into the person, and blood splatters everywhere and shit. Yeah, and then I got to play it a lot with Monica over her holiday break. In my holiday break when I had time off, and like we played through the whole thing, beat it and everything, and it was just so much fun. It was like so natural, and it was arcadey, so like you had infinite lives, of course, infinite continues, so it's like you didn't really have to worry about shit.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about it, and it might sound weird as a side-scrolling like fighter game, beat 'em up game, is you couldn't hurt each other. Oh my god. I don't know how many times that is in. Like, I went to play Streets of Rage 2 again. The second Monica and I got close, I would grab her person inappropriately and do something, you know what I mean? It's like, in Battletoads Arcade, it doesn't matter. Like, you're right next to each other, you can hit the shit. The only time you can hit each other is if you're using, like, a utensil or a tool in the level. So one of the tools is there's a pipe hooked up to this like large like mallet, like steel mallet, almost like a brick mallet, and you can swing it and kill your enemies with it, and you can hit your, which makes sense in retrospect, hit your partner with it or whatever. So that was my number 10. It's a lot of fun. I say check it out if you can, or if somebody has a copy of Rare Replay, just go to your house, grab some beer, play the multiplayer. You can have up to 3 characters at a time. And the cool thing, after each round, it counts off your kills, and it tells you who's winning.
Yeah.
Like, who has the most kills at the end. So, I don't know. That's my top 10. My number 10, I should say.
Yeah, my number 10. Now, this one is going to be the weirdest one on my list, because I don't personally enjoy the game that much. It hooked me for, I'd say, probably 2.5 hours tops, and then one thing happened and it kind of ruined it for me. But a game that came out on the PS4 this year is called Stardew Valley. Now, what this game is literally, and I mean, I looked up like comparison videos. It's pretty much just Harvest Moon.
Harvest Moon, yeah.
Like 100%. Even the art style, is modern and hand drawn and stuff. Like, but this game was made by one guy. Like, you could easily put hundreds of hours into this game. But it's basically, you're working for, like, not an evil corporation. You're working for, like, a Walmart or an Amazon. Just, like, a drone job. Like, and your grandfather tells you, once you get tired of the grind of life, open this envelope. And so, the start of the game, you do that, you open it, and basically, he left you his farm. So you go to the farm, and in the game, you farm crops, you talk to, like, people to try to build relationships, you scavenge all around to build, like, gather materials and build things, you can fish, and then there's a whole nother aspect of it where you go into this mine, which is, like, a dungeon, and then it becomes, like, a hack and slash type game where you're, like, it's a lot like Zelda. It looks a lot like Zelda. Now, I was playing it, and I was, like, kicking ass with, like, super micromanaging my crops to raise the most money. But then the game didn't tell me that once the season changed, which the seasons in the game are, a month long. And then it changes between fall, spring, summer, winter, whatever. So
sounds like Indiana.
yeah, I had planted like all these crops, and like 2 days before I was gonna harvest them, and I like used this special fertilizer and stuff. All my crops died because it turned summer or fall or something. I don't remember exactly, but I was like, oh fuck,
damn it.
But the reason the game's on my top 10 is not for me, actually. It's actually because my fiance Emily, she played games here and there when she was growing up. Like, she probably knows a lot of the games on the Rare collection. Like, me, I think Rare is one of the most overrated studios in the world.
Yeah.
But people love Rare.
I won't live and die by them, but I will say, like, some of the games that they made, some.
Like GoldenEye is a good
Probably not anymore.
Not anymore. But it was. But, so she probably knows a lot of those old games. But, the only games she really plays nowadays are, like, the Telltale games.
Yeah.
And so I got to this point where I was, like, trying to, like, find different things for her. And I was like, you know what? Uncharted. I'll put it on easy. It's great characters, great story.
Yeah, you can just climb shit.
Yeah, and, run around shooting people. And I was like, maybe she'll get a kick out of that. So I downloaded the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection for $10 when it was on sale in the PlayStation Store. She got through, like, the first 10 minutes, like, the first section of Uncharted 2. Like, I let her skip Uncharted 1. I was like, it's not as much fun. Here's the story of Uncharted 1. And it didn't grab her at all. And she's like, I'm kind of bored. And then I was like, looking through the store, I'm just like, I don't know what games. I was like, oh. The last game she really got into was Miitomo on the 3DS when I had a 3DS.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure what that is.
And it's kind of like The Sims. It's like a social simulator where you just, like, talk to people. You don't even talk to people. You create, like, people and manage their relationships. Well, I was like, well, how about you try Stardew Valley? And so I downloaded it. It's only $20. And she's hooked. She plays it every night now. Like, when we're putting Grayson to sleep, like, she pops it on for, 30 minutes, an hour. And, like, I feel like a game like that has to get recognition to be so intriguing, so different.
That a
non-gamer gets hooked on it. And it's not a mobile phone game. It's not. It's a full-fledged game that, like, I could see myself getting into, but it just didn't grab me, and there's too many other things that I wanted to play. But that game's on my top 10 at number 10, just barely at number 10, just because of the effect it had on Emily and the fact that one guy made this game.
I don't want to cut off, like, your thoughts for your games, but it might just happen naturally. But one thing I did want to say is, like, I'm not sure if I'll ever play it. I want to try to maybe, like, play the intro parts of it because it does look intriguing. But the fact is like, it's like an 8-bit type game, and only one dude did it. And it's like, how much imagination was involved with this one guy? It's like, wow, like, but it almost like,
and it's tricky though because it's not imagination. It's just like, I want to play a new Harvest Moon game, and I made one.
But technically, it does take some skill and intuition to build up something like a ground up. No, not a ground up, but using some ideologies and making it your own. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so my number 9 is Mortal Kombat 10. Sweet Jesus, that game is so much fun. When I first went to play it, I think I just played it by myself or something, and I was like kind of learning it. But it was funny. I went to one of Monica's nephews' house, and he plays games online all the time, and way more often than I. He's a teenage kid. That's what they do.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's bad or good or nonetheless. And I went to his house, and he actually had Mortal Kombat 10, but he also had all the DLC characters at the time unlocked.
XL edition.
Yeah, the XL edition or whatnot. And I felt bad because, like, what I didn't tell the kid is that you and I, and me in general, have been playing fighting games, not like professionally, but been playing fighting games like through the ages. Yeah. Tekken Tag Tournament. We played Virtual Fighter, I'm sure. The original
Street Fighter 2.
Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. You name it, we've probably played it, minus some of the goofy ones. I've even played Eternal Champions, which is a less known one.
Remember the Power Rangers one?
The Power Rangers one when they had a fighting game. So I had a lot of like season. I'm not saying I'm a professional because there's people out there that's what they do. I played Marvel vs. Capcom online one time, and I was winning, and then I played somebody I think was like top tier because that dude wrecked my life. Anyways, so I go over there and he's like, hey, you want to play Mortal Kombat against me? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, you know. And I just keep beating him. And I see that he's getting frustrated. And, like, my older brother in me, you know, is like, I kind of want to let him win. But at the same time, I just can't. You know what I mean?
You don't learn that way.
Yeah, you don't learn from easy victories. So, like, I would pick, like, Johnny Cage, which he's a good character, but, like, he's not the best on that by far. And then, like, he would pick, like, I'll just say Goro, just for an example, or whatever. I can't think of some of the characters' names, but the reason, to bear it down a little bit, I like Mortal Kombat 10 is it's just unfiltered gore during the fatalities, and how, like, you can use different parts of the level to, like, attack your enemy, and two, like, there is, like, a little bit of balance to it in a way, but the other thing I like is, like, the characters that are involved, because I haven't played Mortal Kombat since, I think, Mortal Kombat 3, so it's been a long time since I've seen, like, new characters. Like, I can't even remember the last...
The last Mortal Kombat we played a bunch of.
Yeah, like...
On PS3.
Yeah,
that
what was
the
that?
last one. That's Mortal Kombat 9.
We played Mortal Kombat 9?
Yeah, remember it had the tag? Like, that's the only thing missing from Mortal Kombat.
10 is the tag? Oh, yeah, okay, so I did play that one. I don't know why I couldn't remember for some reason.
But no, like, this game, it basically... Because the story... Did you play the story at all?
Yeah.
So the story mode is... It's funny because they rebooted the universe, playing with, like, the same things that happened in the original Mortal Kombat games, like the trilogy. They shrunk it down, but also, like, the first game's story mode was, like, 15 hours long or something like that. It was crazy. It was super long. This one is, like, a direct continuation, and it's kind of funny because Gears of War did a similar thing, which I heard that game fucking terrible, but...
Haven't played it yet.
What they did is basically you're playing as, like, the kids of the, like, classic Mortal Kombat characters. So that's probably why they seem so new to you. And it's literally because, like, you know, you could take them and just put them next to, like, their, like, fathers and stuff like that. And they're very similar. They play similar, but they play with that in such a cool way in the story mode.
And my favorite thing about that, beyond, like, you playing story or against somebody, is they have what's called, I can't remember the exact name, but it's, like, the temple mode. So it's the old school where you would go up the chain, but when they put it online, is they had daily challenges.
Yep.
So the daily challenges is like beat 10 guys plus this within, you know, blah blah blah, and like I was like addicted to doing that. I was like, oh fuck, I want to see how good, because it made me like see how good I could progress, you know, within that game. So that's my number 9.
Well, plus, and the last thing I'll say about Mortal Kombat, the amount of sheer content in that game is insane, and that's a big reason why, you know, the last podcast we talked about Street Fighter V and how fucked up that situation was.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat was a $60 game. It shipped with story mode, multiplayer, online multiplayer, and a bunch of crazy things within that itself, but then also there's thousands of unlocks.
Yeah.
Whether it's fucking screenshots, like random shit, costumes, all kinds of stuff in this really cool way you unlock them.
And it's not just online, it's like interactive online, like it changes.
Yeah.
You know
because
what I
you
mean?
pick your faction and then you get faction rewards by... Yeah, that game's awesome. Now I just want to play that. I downloaded it because me and Emily were like playing it together.
Yeah, sorry.
Which also, on that note, Injustice 2 comes out this year. And you betcha I'm buying that fucking game.
Oh, yeah?
It looks crazy.
Yeah, it does.
Because the new engine that they used in Mortal Kombat X was crazy, and then the Injustice trailers have been nuts. But anyways, that game
like,
is awesome.
That's the funny thing, too, real quick, is I went back to play Injustice because I'm like, I want to play like a DC one again. And it just, no offense to the game, it just wasn't as fun as Mortal Kombat 10. So I'm really hoping Injustice 2 brings back a little bit of that fun factor. I'm not saying it wasn't fun per se, it just wasn't as much fun as I had with Mortal Kombat.
I think that's because you're a gorehound, you're a horror freak.
Yeah,
like,
so that's probably the
because they play almost identical, and most of the changes they made from 9 to 10 was things they did in Injustice, interacting with the environment and stuff like that.
Every game should be like Blitz 2. Like in Blitz 2, the league, when you like tackle somebody, like you can see their balls exploding and shit. I want that for every game.
Blitz the League was awesome.
Anyway, so number 9, sorry.
My number 9 is another one that's... it's kind of funny because technically it was the third time I'd played through this game. But this game was important to me because, like, I'm a huge fan now of the Dark Souls type games.
Yeah.
Those experiences. And so this year, my brother, who usually I haven't seen him really tackle challenging video games that often. Like, he
Not
likes
recently,
to have fun.
Yeah.
But this year, he played through and beat. I should check his trophies to make sure he beat it.
I did beat it.
Okay.
I didn't get the... Okay. I didn't get the true ending.
Yeah, but you got an ending, and that's good enough for... So, John played through Bloodborne, and because he was playing through it, I was like, well, in case he gets stuck, I want to play through it too. So I was playing alongside with him, and, you know, experiencing it again. It was my third time, because I did a normal playthrough, and I did a New Game Plus. So I came back to it to experience it playing along with John.
Yeah.
So, like, we'd get off work and we'd play it, and, like, we'd talk on the phone or talk on chat and just, like, about this, that, and the other. But then also, then we'd start talking about, you know, he's like, well, I'm here in this area, and, like, what the fuck is this? And then, like, one time he found something that I never even found in the multiple playthroughs I did. I was like, really? That's there? Like, that's weird.
Yeah. It was mainly me calling for, like, help.
Yeah. But that was, like, that's what those games are about. Like, most people who play those games, like, the first thing you do is you play, you know, to the point where you can start upgrading, and you get to the first place you get stuck at, or the first item you pick up, you don't know what it is, you go to the internet.
Yeah.
But I was basically John's internet for this.
Yeah.
Which was super fun for me because, like, I love those games. I wish more people played them because a lot of people get turned off by the challenge. But,
Yeah.
like...
You did... I will give you total credit. You kept me from rage quitting because Monica would see me play this part. Because the beginning part, you have to do something specific to progress.
Yeah, you have
and die with zero experience over and over. And I'm looking at Monica, I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I'm calling my brother. Maybe he knows. Instead of checking online. You know what I mean?
And that was what was cool for me. And he'd call me. It'd be like 7, 8 o'clock at night. And I'd just be like, oh, you just got to go. You don't even have to, like, beat the boss, the first boss. You just got to go see him. And then you can start leveling up after that. And he's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, so true.
And that's what's so rewarding about those games, though. Once you do, you know, you get stuck on a boss, you go away, you start grinding, but it's not the boring kind of grind that, like, old school RPGs are. Like, I talked about Final Fantasy VI. There's a large amount of time I had to spend that game grinding because there's some fights in there where it's, like, non-stop. Like, they do this funneling system where you control 3 characters, and then you have to make sure they can't reach a 4th character. So, but in that game, it's, like, fun, and then it's like, well, I'm stuck on this part. I'm going to go explore this part of the map. And then you find out that that part's actually easier, and so you go beat that boss, come back, and whip the shit out of the boss you were stuck on.
Yeah.
Like, and so for me, also, because I started playing with him, I was like, well, you know what? I know I'm going to get through it quicker than he will. So I want to have something I can keep. Well, I had played it before, so there was a lot of shortcuts and, like, methods. Like, there's a lot of people who play these games, like, most of the time you get to a bonfire or you get to a new area, the first thing you do is run until you find the first bonfire. You just scoot through enemies, not fighting them. You get to that bonfire, and then you work your way back.
Yeah.
So I ended up playing the Old Hunters DLC, and I played through most of Dark Souls 3. I played through all of Dark Souls 1. I played through most of Dark Souls 2. That one I only stopped playing because I had to get rid of my PS4 for a while at one point. So I'm still going to get back to it. I played through Lords of the Fallen. So Bloodborne was, but I love the world of Bloodborne the most. So it was really interesting. Well, out of all those games I played, the Old Hunters DLC is the hardest shit I've ever played in those. Like, I almost don't recommend it to, like, certain people because, like, it's just like, it's masochism in that, because there's this boss that, like, spawns fucking, like, meteors and shit like that, and, like, it splits into multiple enemies. It's a nightmare. But so on top of getting experience with him, I played through the DLC. That was, once I beat it, I was like, fuck you, fuck yeah, I'm the man. Like, I can beat any of these fucking games now. And that was super rewarding. So my number 9, Bloodborne.
Nice. So, all right. So going on to my number 8, yeah, Bloodborne. Man, oh god, that game. Like, I almost feel bad because I never played any of the Dark Souls, so I almost want to. But I feel like I have such an attachment to Bloodborne now that I almost like I'll probably still enjoy them, but I'll be like, well, Bloodborne has this, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like,
well, if you're gonna go from Bloodborne to any of them, like I worked my way back, but I kind of regret it because it makes the first 2 Souls games feel really slow.
Yeah.
If you want to play one, you can just take that
Dark Souls 3
home with you. Because I was gonna trade it in, but I'm only gonna get a couple bucks for it. You should try that one.
So my number 8, this one kind of surprised me because I didn't forget that I played it this year. I just feel like I played it like so constant that it was like from last year to this year and continuing. But I played it mainly this year, and that's and it's not even a game per se. So this is going to be one of my weird ones, and I feel like I should have put it in my number 10, but I just kept on thinking about it. Was Super Mario Maker for the Nintendo Wii U.
That's a game.
Yeah, it is a game. The reason why I like it so much is there's so much creativity involved. And I've always loved being able to design your own stuff. Like when it comes to like making like anything. Like I used to love SimCity. SimCity 2000 or whatever I played the crap out of. I tried to play The Sims on PS2, but like
that was a terrible version.
Sims annoys me because like they're too needy as people. I'm like they're more needy than I am, and that, but playing Super Mario Maker, it has all the Nintendo stuff on it, and my favorite thing is it's not just the new stuff. Like you can create levels from the old school Super Mario 3, blah 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 blah, and put it on there. And the best thing, my favorite thing about it is not just the creativity of it involved, but you can create your own entire Super Mario world.
Yep.
All 8 levels, everything involved, challenges. And so what I did, like my brain, like I felt like we only use such a small part of our brain, but I felt like
That's
for
not
this,
true.
yeah,
That got proven wrong.
But I'm saying like, you know how they say like you only use like 10% or whatever?
Yeah.
I felt for that game, 11% came out. Because what I would do is within the title of like the game or the level that I created, I would put the hint in. So the level would be iceberg to the left, and you're like, iceberg to the left, okay. And all of a sudden to the left, there's a big ass iceberg you have to, escape from. So, and it was one of those things, and you'll see this kind of reflects a lot in the games that I kind of picked here. Is it's something Monica got involved with too, and she's kind of like a non-gamer. She's even, I think, less of a gamer than Emily is even. Like, she'll play games with me if they're involved, but, like, I had her play Call of Duty. No offense, babe, if you listen. And she even knows, she was like, it was a wreck. But it's a work in progress.
Yeah, that's a tough one to get
into. It's hard to, like, jump into first-person shooters or whatever. But she played Mario Maker, and she would create levels thinking it was hard, and I'm an old school gamer, and I would just like smoke through it. She's like, but you missed doing this. Like, you should have done this. I'm like, babe, I've been ingrained to beat this level. I'm not ingrained to go up, find a star. You know what I mean? So like that was like always the intriguing part of that game. So that was my number 8.
Which is funny, like you're talking about, you love creating your own stuff in games. Like that absolutely repels me.
Really?
For me, like, if I'm going to pay money for a game, you better have made a fucking game for me to play. I don't want to have to make the game myself. Not insulting any of those games like that. Just for me, it's just like Little Big Planet and shit like that. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't you make the fucking game?
Instead of me having to make the game and from your assets. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that, but, at the same time, which they did in Super Mario Maker, to be fair. They came up with codes they can look up to play, but they also put in challenges that you can do. So technically within the game there are games you can do. Yeah. But it's just, I don't know, I just love the creativity of it and being able to make your own entire Super Mario world, so you can have one level that's all old school. Anyways, I won't continue. But yeah, so that was my number 8.
Like, I would have played your levels, but there's no fucking way I'm going to waste money on any Nintendo products. Boom!
Boom! Nintendo!
Anyways.
Awkward! I think I put 2 Nintendo games on my list. I'm going to delete it.
So, My next 3 games on my list are actually a lot along the lines of what John was talking about with Battletoads. It's pure fun. The like games that were like super fun this year. There's another one right after, but my number 7, I'm not going to take long on it.
Yeah.
Because I talked about it on the podcast before, was Watch Dogs 2. Now, this game, I had 0 fucking expectations for it. Because I bought, like, here's the thing. When Watch Dogs launched, I was working at GameStop. And I had to work the midnight launch. And what they did for the original Watch Dogs is they sourced a lot of local music from Chicago. And my manager knew one of the artists who was actually getting his music put in the game.
Nice.
So I was super excited.
Yeah.
Like, I had just bought the PS4, like, was waiting for this game.
And you had like an in a way.
Yeah, and it was like I listened to that dude's song on the radio in the game. Like,
look. And
it's one of those things where, so we had this launch party, we had like pizza, we had, what's that Mexican restaurant on 30?
Pepe's?
No, there's another one. Anyways, so we had this Mexican restaurant supply food for it, and it was like a party. And the guy came and was performing live music for everybody.
Oh, shit, yeah.
He was hooked up, and then we had one of our other employees who's a DJ. He dressed up like the character from the fucking first game.
Nice.
And was DJing like for the like party and the people waiting for the midnight launch. So it was like it was a really cool experience doing that, and a really cool, game to look forward to. It's set in Chicago, which, I'm not from Chicago.
But we're Midwest kind of people now, yeah.
And, spent years, and I've worked in Chicago and stuff, and, so I was looking forward to the game, and it was just a shit sandwich. It was just dull.
The party was better than the entire 20-hour
100%.
experience.
Like, the anticipation and the party was a lot more fun than the fucking game.
Yeah.
And the worst thing you can say about a game, it's not like it was a broken game.
Yeah.
It's not like it was, like, super offensive.
Yeah.
It was boring. And the worst thing you can say about any work of art, anything, is it's boring.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch something and fucking hate it because it's like terribly made and stupid and broken, because at least you're getting some kind of reaction, than play a boring game.
Then you're just like watching a frog. You're just like, what is this frog doing?
But anyway, so Watch Dogs 2 comes out, no expectations. I got it for like $20 because I had a bunch of rewards points saved up, and it was really fun.
Complete opposite.
Yeah, you could.
Good job, Ubisoft.
The hacking was like nuts. Like, you could do so much more. You at all times had like an RC car or a fucking drone that you could fly around and hack things. You could play the game in stealth. Outside of the fact that like the melee takedowns were always lethal. So it was one of those things where like you could only use your stun gun or other stun weapons to do stealth. But
which, if you watch anything fighting wise, you can make somebody pass out by choking them. They don't die all the time.
It was weird, but like there was a lot of options. The driving was super fun. The characters were actually, when I first saw the characters, I was like, these are going to be the most annoying people in the world.
Yeah.
But within the context of where they live, it's set in San Francisco, where they live, what they do, like the characters were actually endearing. Like, and I was actually into the story because it's like, it was basically, hey, fuck all these big corporations and all this. But yeah, that was my number 7 because it was just fun.
You mean 8? Because we're going to be on number 7.
No, that was my number 7. Wait. Yeah, number 8.
It's okay.
For a second there, I thought I like skipped one or something. I was like,
I think it's because we're going back and forth, so
yeah.
It's fine. No, it's fine. No, that's a good pick. So number 7, and once again, I got to give my brother credit for this. Like, I'm the type of person that always gives credit to people. Like, even as a leader, when I was in the military, I always gave credit to my troops anytime I succeeded. And maybe there's once I was like, yeah, I did that on myself. Fuck you, you know what I mean? But typically, it's like those who provide me the information, I always give them their due. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's something that should be a skill for everything. But Titanfall 2, I got to play, and I played mainly the single player, and oh my god, once again, it was so much freaking fun. And there's a lot of people that complain that there's too much time outside of the mech, But even when you're outside the mech,
The traversal.
the
is just
game,
nuts.
to be able to run up on the walls and stuff, the game is a challenge, but at the same time, it just lets you have at it. Mm-hmm. So you can just like run, shoot, kill the shit out of people, and then when they're pissing you off and there's too many of them, guess what? Call my fucking Titan, and you're gonna get wrecked.
Here comes BT.
Yeah, BT.
What up, BT?
And that storyline, it actually got me because it was just like I was so invested in my character. I don't want to give too much away because it's still fairly new, but I was so much invested. And then what starts to happen and what happens at the end, I was just like, these motherfuckers. Yeah. You know what I mean? So when I, God bless it, play the damn game so I can tell you what happens. Seriously.
Well, there's one part that we can talk about that I found out is not a spoiler because it was in the first one. We just didn't know it because we used to be Sony guys.
I am still. Oh my god! I'll explain to you
But basically, the one thing
I hate
you get this gun that auto aims for you. Like that moment happened, especially after what happens in the story.
Yeah,
was just like I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like, if you've ever seen the movie Wanted, it felt like the closest we'll ever get to playing a good Wanted game.
Well, and the thing is like the last time I played a game with a mech inside of it or a mech at all was Armored Core, and for the PS1 or something. And that game was fine. I'm sure now if I went back to play it, but
which is weird because Armored Core is made by the people who make the Dark Souls and Bloodborne games.
Really? No offense. Sorry, I apologize. But yeah, Titanfall 2. Zach told me the multiplayer was fun. I never got a chance to play it because I played the single player. Like I actually played it twice. I played it the first time like on a normal easy difficulty to be fair, and then I pumped up the difficulty. But it's still the best thing that I could sell this game on is when you're in the mech, it makes you feel like it, but not in the way that's like it just bogs you down. Yeah. Like you can feel the robot moves in the controllers, you pan and everything, and it has its own life or battery power or whatever you want to call it attached to it. So you have to take care of the bot, but it doesn't slow you down. Yeah. It does. Like it's not. You can't like run, sprint. But it doesn't make you feel like you're running through mud, which can be a huge thing when it comes to a Titan or a mech, suit or something like that. So go out, at minimum, rent the damn thing. You can still rent these things. There's like video stores.
Please buy it so you can play it, support online because
nobody's playing online.
all the DLC maps they're releasing for the game for the online free, completely free. No strings attached.
It's because they fucked up the release for that game. I'm just saying it. Because they released it with all the other bastard games that are like that are more. They released it next to Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty,
which it's 3,000 times better than both those games in the multiplayer department,
and probably the single player. Well, I haven't. To be fair, I haven't played the Call of Duty.
I think the Call of Duty one is slightly better, but like Titanfall's single player is a lot more just flat out fun, and like the way they introduce a mechanic for one level and then they drop that mechanic because it's like we're not making a whole game out of this. Yeah, we want to give you variety.
Which I got mad at, but at the same time understood because it's like
that's so smart.
It's like here's it's like this. Here's a cookie, but you can't eat the whole fucking thing.
You want to play it again? Why don't you try it on hard? Yeah, it's like okay, yeah, you're right,
assholes.
Here's some collectibles. Okay,
so that's my number 7. Okay.
My number 7. Another one that was just pure fun. And this goes to, like, how I'm not a fan of Rare. Like, Rare had, like, Banjo-Kazooie and stuff like that. But for me, really good platformers came on the PS2. And one of those was Ratchet & Clank.
Oh, yeah. I didn't.
So,
I played that.
They released a movie version of Ratchet & Clank this year. I didn't see the movie. I heard it's terrible.
Well, what it is, it's the video game, just without the video game pieces. Literally.
Oh, I know, because there's cutscenes in the game are
from
parts
the movie,
of the movie. But this game is just, it's one of those things where, like, when they make remakes of games, like, most of the time it's just a cash-in. I feel like with the Ratchet & Clank remake, because they did change some things in the game, but it's mostly the first game, but with modern controls and probably right next to Uncharted 4, the best looking game ever made. this game looks nuts, especially because I got a PS4 Pro. I booted it up on the 4K TV. What the fuck? It looks like you're playing a fucking, like we used to say in the PS2 days, it's like you're playing a Pixar movie. No, you're fucking playing a Pixar movie. It's insane how colorful and fun and funny the game is. The game pokes fun at itself that it's a remake. There's a character who was in the first game, and he's like, "You look familiar."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Have I met you before?" And he's like, "I don't think so." And then like there's another
it's
part.
like a wink and a nod to like the camera. It's like ding.
There's even a part at the beginning because they have a new framing device for it.
Yeah.
There's characters talking about like, "You mean my life? The movie based on my life?" And they're like, "No, the movie based on the game, based on the movie of your life." And it's just like, you guys are fucking clever.
It's like
so
you
that
did the nose touch. Like I know.
and it's so good. Like because that'll be one of the first games I let Grayson play.
Yeah.
You know, it's just fun, funny, and gorgeous. And yeah, that one. It's that game being at number 7 shows me how good of a year of video games this was because that game is fucking like perfect. It's the perfect length, perfect amount of like controls, like all kinds of stuff. It's awesome.
So you stole my number 6. So I was like considering like changing it real fast.
No,
but I'm gonna just keep it the way it was. But Bloodborne.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to describe this any more than we already did. But bottom line is like. Kind of like Zach said, since the Nintendo era, and even Sega, maybe some PlayStation games, like there's not many games that have really challenged me. And really, to be fair, like there's not many games that present a challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many like where you can just continue, or you pay a hospital bill and you're fine just the way you are. But in Bloodborne, there's no fucking mercy. When you die, if you didn't save your skill points or certain things, you're fucked. You have to do it all over again. And when I beat that game, when I beat it, well, there's multiple endings, which I appreciate, but the ending I beat, I was completely fine with it. Like, I want to go back and replay it, but it was like one of those things, like, that was my experience. And I just feel so fulfilled. You know what I mean?
I think you should, well, I mean, you got plenty of games to play now. I was going to say, really, you should try Dark Souls 3, because they sped up. It's more along, like, so the Bloodborne mechanic of, like, you know, you get hit and you get time to, like, hit back and that health comes back. That's not in Dark Souls 3. Like, it's much more about, like, making your fucking health bar go all the way across the screen.
Yeah.
But it is a lot more of a faster game. It's a lot more viable to use, like, dual weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. One final word, because I want to make that, because we kind of already talked about it, but... my other favorite thing about Bloodborne is I got to use one weapon to beat the whole game. Yeah. That is so key to me. Because, like, I'm not saying it's bad when you have to use multiple weapons. That's fine. That's totally fine. But it was cool to think I went on the whole... It was almost like I wish I had that weapon in real life so I could be like, man, we went through some shit, huh? Yeah. You know what I mean?
This is my weapon. This is my gun.
This is for fun. This is for murdering. Yeah. You know what I mean? So,
I kill everything.
Yeah, this was my number. So that was my number 6.
So then just like, that's what's funny though. My number 6, Titanfall 2.
Nice.
This game, like, and all, you know, the both of us bought all 3 of the big shooters this year. Well, those type of shooters, you know, the campaign and then online. For me, Battlefield 1's like, it blew me away at first, and the most fun I had was playing with him, and I quickly realized that I'm not making any progress.
Yeah, I thought about putting it as honorable mention, but it's like you said, it's like, I even tried to sell it like it was great by itself, but then I was like, nah, this sucks. You know what I mean? Like, not that it sucks, but, you know, it sucks playing without friends.
Yeah, like that is a game where if you play by yourself, it's just chaos and nobody has their mics on, and there's no progression.
Yeah,
like you have to enjoy the victory in itself if you win a match because you're not going to unlock some cool gun. But that's why Titanfall hooked me in the online way, and I'm going to keep playing that game because the game's still alive. I'm playing through a lot of like smaller indie games right now. One in particular that I can't wait to talk about, but Titanfall 2 has a constant, because you have your character, you have your Titan, You have weapons for each Titan. You have different skills for each Titan and each different character you use. There's tons of unlocks. All of them feel vastly different. The amount of customization with like camos and stuff like that. This is almost a game where like if there was a really cool camo I wanted, I'd almost get to the point where I'd want to buy it.
Yeah.
But they make it to where you can earn it anyways if you put in enough time. Like that game, we already talked about the single player, but that multiplayer, it's something so fresh and different. Like it came out on Xbox One, you know, but there wasn't enough content, and it was only on Xbox One. There was no single player, so not enough people got to play it. And unfortunately, as John said, you know, they put it in the middle of like Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty, and a lot of people didn't get to play it. But I honestly feel like of all those games, people are going to get it probably got it this Christmas. They might get it on sale in the new year and get hooked on it and realize, oh man,
what did I miss out on?
Yeah, I missed out on this game, especially a lot of like top 10s from other sites going out, and Titanfall is going to be on there. It's going to be high on the list.
I watched some on YouTube earlier today, and yeah, that was on a couple of them. I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just a seriously good game. So that's my number 6.
All right, so number 5, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, only the zombies part.
Yeah.
Now, that might sound confusing to put on as like a top game, but oh my god, I am still a little bit, but I've kind of moved on to different things, was obsessed playing that game. Because, one, it had a storyline I can attach to. You know, you go back to the 1980s, you're in this like theme park and everything. And 2, it was one of those things where I was even explaining to my brother, like, how you get certain places or how you can do certain things. And my brother's like, my brother and I would play, he'd be like level 10. And by the time he got to level 10, I was like level 30. Like,
yeah. I'm like bouncing around playing different single player games, and Titanfall Online, he's just playing fucking zombies. And he did it with the last one too. Don't let him fool you. He just likes this mode in general.
I do like this mode in general, but this is my favorite one that I played. Like,
that's fair.
Because here's my thing on it. One, you can get customizable weapons, which includes like attachments that help the weapon, even though sometimes it's bullshit, which I don't want to get too much into the negativity. But the other thing that is like a pro for it is that if you play with multiple people, or even if yourself, and you die, you can play mini games to come back alive.
Yeah.
Like you go
actual
into this
arcade games, some of them too.
Some of them are like real games from Activision, like Barn Burner. And I can't think of... That's the one I always remember because that's the one I learned how to play. You can play like the ski shooting game. All these different types of games to come back into the game. And like there's different unlocks. I haven't even technically beat it. Like some people can beat it or whatever. But it's just like I enjoy the characters. The gameplay makes sense. I enjoy zombie games. As my brother stated and I've stated it a couple times. And it was just overall fun for me. Even though it's far from a perfect game, and maybe it shouldn't be number 5, but it's my number 5. So
yeah, this is his list. He'll do whatever he damn well pleases.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Now my number 5. This is a game that it makes me angry, like legit, fully angry, knowing that my brother calls himself a gamer. He has a PlayStation 4, and he's never played this game.
Okay.
That game is the masterpiece that is Uncharted 4.
Oh, yeah. I haven't played it.
Yeah. Uncharted 4, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because a lot of what Uncharted 4 is its story, its characters, and a lot of it also is if you've played the previous games. So 1 through 3, mostly 2 and 3. As I said, 1's, you know, it's not super great. It doesn't hold up as well. But 2 and 3... 2 of the best third-person cover-based shooters ever made. Best characters, and, like, the story itself isn't the exciting part. It's the characters and the drama and, like, the exciting set pieces and stuff.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about Uncharted 4 is they could have made it the most bombastic, nuts, fucking crazy thing in the world because now they're on the PlayStation 4. And this game, like, I'm not even kidding, it is the best-looking game I've ever seen, hands down. Like... Ratchet and Clank may be like second, but it's a distant second.
Yeah.
The facial capture and all that like is amazing. But this game, it's actually not as big of a spectacle. It's a lot more toned down, and they do focus on the characters more because now the guys working on this one were the guys who directed The Last of Us.
Oh, okay.
And there's a whole scene in that game. There's a whole like 10, 15 minutes of that game where you have dinner with your wife, and then you sit down with your wife in front of the TV and you play Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, you play the. Yeah, I saw videos of that
inside this, 2016 game, and the realness in that moment, the tenderness between these characters who like I've been playing with and interacting with in these games for years now, is so real and cool and interesting, and like it's funny. And like I remember there's a scene like after the first really big bombastic scene, which it wasn't bombastic, like there's a lot going on. It's like the first big crazy scene. I think I tagged you in the picture, and it's basically Nathan Drake and his brother.
You said it's her brother, yeah.
Yeah, Nathan Drake and his brother are on this motorcycle, and he's just kind of like resting on his brother's shoulder. Like Nate's, got the handlebars, and his brother's kind of just resting on his shoulders, and he's just like, "You all right?" I'll be like choked up because like this game is about brothers. Like,
yeah.
because your long lost brother comes back, and it's like it's a beautiful game in terms of the way it plays, the locations you go to, and also just these characters. These characters are better than a lot of characters in real movies.
Yeah.
And so any gamer who has a PS4, I understand you got a lot to play now, but you need to play through this series because it's superb.
I really have no excuse too because they put the first 3 on one disc and one is on another disc, so it's like I have no like.
And right now it's only $20 for the collection.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the sale ended where it was 10, but now it's $20 permanently now
for $3
for 3 full
or
games.
for 3 games. Sorry.
One of which, as I said, you don't really need to play, but like the other 2 are long single player games, and they're super fun, and they updated them in a way that they still look pretty damn good.
Yeah.
That's my number 5. I can't say enough about that.
Okay. So my number 4 is more like, because my brother and I always talk about how like we both had limited time to play games. Well, when I got to play this game, once again, it's something that Monica got invested to, and 2, I like it so much because it's arcade playability, because I love like arcade type games, as you can tell, and where you don't have to commit hours to it unless you want to. Mm-hmm. And that's Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. And so with that game, it plays like regular Pac-Man more or less. You still have to go around, get the dots or whatever, but the things that were added to this is you can hit the ghost multiple times before it gets angry at you and chases you for real. I mean, it chases you the whole thing. But my favorite thing is, one, the arcade, you can collect a whole bunch of dots and get like this line of ghosts, and when you get a ghost pellet to turn them blue, you just rack up a bunch of points, and then it like takes it off the screen and makes it all like, it's like brrr, like the sound and stuff, and it invests you into learning like different routes, and it makes you think so fast. And I felt bad because I had Monica play through the tutorial first, and I was playing through the tutorial, and there's certain parts of the tutorial, use the word again, God bless, where you have to beat it a certain way. Like, you have to beat all of the tutorial, God bless, that part a certain way nonetheless, but it's like, she kept on failing, and like, I'm so good at those games now, I kept on like beating it. I was like, see, you just have to do it this way, blah, blah, blah. So
I can't see your hands. Slow down.
Yeah. So it's one of those games where like you have to think quick on your feet, which I love. And 2, it has arcade action. And 3, at any time, if I'm like, you know what, I have to do this, or I have to do laundry, I have to do whatever, turn it off. Mm-hmm. No thought behind it. So that would be my next one.
Side note on that, you and Dad enjoy Pac-Man. I think Pac-Man is garbage. Anyways.
Number 4.
Number 4. My number 4 fucking shocked the shit out of me.
Oh, yeah?
I played the beta for the multiplayer, and it was garbage. I thought about canceling my pre-order, but I was like, there's nothing else coming out right now. I'll pick it up. My number 4 is fucking Doom.
Doom. I didn't put that on mine, but I did play it a lot.
Oh, you're a maniac. Doom is it's one of those games that I like to refer to, and it's not even my number one on the list, but it's one of those things I think we talked about on the podcast in terms of like a perfect game, perfect movie, perfect song. Doom is a perfect game. What Doom does is it knows exactly what it is, and it does exactly what it wants to do.
Yeah, it doesn't give a shit.
And you either like that,
or
like you can tell within the first 10 minutes if you're gonna like Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not even 10 minutes, 5 minutes. That introduction where you fucking first smash the fucking demon's face and then get up and shoot the two with the gun. And then by the end, like, you get to the end of the hallway and he cocks his gun to the beat of the song.
Yeah.
Like, the song ends and it's like...
He puts his helmet on and shit.
Yeah. Like, you know you're gonna like Doom or not. I don't need to say anything about it.
Oh shit, it's Master Chief. No, it's the Doom guy. Sorry.
Yeah, I would shit my pants if the Doom guy, like, came at me. Like, this dude, like, getting talked to, and, like, I want you to think about this, because it's probably going to take you a while before you ever get back to it. Just think about the guy's name who was helping you.
In the Doom game?
Yeah. Do you remember his name?
I don't remember his name.
Samuel Hayden. Now say it slow.
Samuel Hayden.
Just drop the yol.
Sam Hayden? Sam Hayden? God, I don't know.
Satan.
Oh, nice.
Like, you were right there. You're like, Satan? Or you're like, whatever. Like, the game is awesome.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts. It has the
Which
actual...
oh, my God. Now I gotta go back and play it.
Yeah, you gotta get through the end of that game.
Because I didn't even pay attention to that part. I just wanted to murder shit.
If you pay attention...
Which sounds horrible.
Like, and actually, you should go in, especially when you get the second... Because they have a codex in the game. Especially if you get the second parts to the codex entries. They're fucking nuts. And, like, when you realize that this facility was, like, a real thing and people knew that they were harnessing the power of hell as an energy source on Mars, and, like, trust me, when you get a chance, play through the game and actually pay attention. Like,
yeah.
You can put your own metal music in and put subtitles on and read the codex entries.
That's what I'll have to end up doing, because what I did before is I just listened to music and just...
Yeah.
Not to cut your thought off, but yeah, so...
But that's what I was telling you, like... The music, I think, is awesome in itself, but yeah, I would play podcasts, but whenever, like, a story beat would happen, I'd pause the podcast, read, and then I'd read my new codex entries. They're nuts. Nice. They're insane. I just recently, when I was starting to work on the top 10, I decided to, like, boot it up because I lost my save when I transferred systems. I don't know why. Of all the game saves, there was only 2 games that I lost data for, but Doom was one of them, so I started playing through it again. It's a perfect game in terms of the feel of the game, what it's aiming for and what it accomplishes, and it's also like beautiful graphics. Like, the game's just, it knows what it is and it does that, and it's fucking badass.
So my number 3 is Diablo 3. Yeah,
I was gonna talk about if we should do, like, next week, like, a top 5 worst, and Diablo 3 is now on my worst
oh
list.
my God, I understand why, because the biggest Achilles heel on Diablo 3 is the save issue. You can't save wherever you want. So it, like, reloads with all the map not cleared.
You have your gear, but you're playing the same map over. Like, in the terms of, like, chunks of time I can play a game, like, it makes no fucking sense why I can't just save at, like, when I walk through a door. Yeah. Even if you use a town portal, it erases the town portal. Save on the portal.
Save on the portal. I understand. I understand, but I love it.
It's so good, though.
You don't have to agree with my list.
No, it's so good. It's such an awesome game. It's just...
It has issues.
Yes.
That's my whole list. You could probably destroy, within a matter of minutes.
But, I could destroy my own.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah, that's dumb. But the reason why I like Diablo 3, because it's the perfect, like, chill game for me. Because what I do is, you can ask Monica, I'll listen to our own podcast, which is kind of self-indulgent, but I like to listen to what we talk about. Or I'll pop in, like, a regular podcast, like a wrestling one or whatever. Or I'll pop in music and just play for hours. Or play for the few hours. Like, Monica would, like, she'll go do something. Or I'll play a lot when she goes to ladies' nights. So it's, like, 4 hours of me just, like, Diablo 3, Diablo 3.
Loop.
Yeah. Loop. And the thing I like most about that game is that the loot, like, constantly evolves you. And you constantly can, invest in it and stuff like that. But it's also, like, makes you think of what kind of character you want. So, for me, my character, he's more of, like, an XP hound. I'm an XP whore. It's horrible. It like I have like level 20 like gear, but it has like plus 22 XP when I could probably have level 80 gear with no XP. I'm like, nah, screw that. I want the XP. You know what I mean? You know, so like that's kind of like the main purpose. It's like one, I like that my character's my own. I can develop them how I want, add in certain pieces as I want, and two, like has a high replay value. But I do understand like what you're saying. It has issues with saves.
That's a personal problem.
Yeah.
Anybody else who plays that game does not give a shit. But me, I can't.
I do sometimes because it happened to me just recently, and that's the worst because I was like, no, that doesn't happen, and then it happened to me. I was like, motherfucker.
So true. It's just one of those things where I don't like playing like. But to me, I could understand even if it wouldn't bother you because of how much you obsessed over the zombies mode in Call of Duty. It's the same thing. You're playing the same area over and over again. You're just upgrading along the way. Me, I can't stand being in the same location over and over
it's like
again.
a claustrophobic feeling.
I play too many single-player games where you're constantly evolving, the story's changing, the location's changing, or like the way you're playing it changes, that like I can't do it. But it's so good. I love that game, but I hate it because I can't. As a parent, As a parent, I can't do it.
I get it, and I'm saying I agree with you because it annoys me sometimes now that it affected me. Because before it like never happened. I swear to God, it never happened. When I cleared a place and stayed clear, I was like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. And then just like 7 days ago or something, it happened to me. I was like, motherfucker! Yeah. But I'm like, I'm not going to tell him to the podcast, because if I tell him now, it's just going to be like, ha 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 ha.
What's that? Hold on. I told you so.
I told you so. So what's your number 3?
My number 3, I'm actually going to end up talking about a lot more on the next podcast. Next podcast, I want to discuss this game. Because it's a game that, one, it's awesome, but two, it's another game like Stardew where it's like one guy didn't make this game by himself. Like it was a small team, like 5 guys, something like that. But the main guy in charge of it, that's wrong. The main guy in charge of it, the dude can basically drop dead any minute.
Oh.
He's got like a disease.
I regret making the head noise.
Yeah.
Awkward.
So, and it's this thing that is like constantly following him, and like there's this personal attachment to me with that of like, you know, that I have, you know, come like a millimeter from death before, and like that feeling of something looming over you, like the depression and stuff like that. Like I have this like tethered thing to me that like then the guy and he puts it into the game is Hyper Light Drifter, by the way.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm talking about this, and I was showing you.
Is that on PS4? What is it called?
Yeah, Hyper Light Drifter. That was the game I was just playing on the TV when we first came in here.
Oh, okay.
And the character, and he puts his own he puts himself into the game in terms of like the character you're playing as. There's no dialogue in this game. There's no talking. Okay, this is another one that's a podcast game for me, but at the same time, I'm so involved. Half the time I have a podcast playing, but I'm not even paying attention to it.
To the podcast.
Because I'm so focused on the game, but the character you play as in the game, he has some kind of sickness. And as you're going through the story, like the little bit of story that it doles out and stuff, you realize he has a sickness and he's trying to get to where he's going to hopefully find a cure. Mm-hmm. And this is a game that's very similar to like Dark Souls and stuff, where like a lot of the like story and context you have to look for online.
Yeah. And
man, I read like an entire breakdown of the story, and it's fascinating. It's super interesting. And yeah, like this guy who has this sickness that can kill him at any second, he put it into his art, a character, and like there's moments in that game where you beat a boss or whatever, and you get done with the fight, and your character like hunches over and just starts coughing up blood.
Oh, jeez.
And it's this tiny pixelated. It looks a lot like Zelda, but like modern and like super like everything's hand drawn. It's a beautiful fucking game.
But it makes you remember that your person's not fine.
Yeah,
you know,
like and every time, and there's like times where like, and it reminds me so much of my like the journey that I went through and all the like dumbass problems I had were like self-medicating through my depression, because we're raised, we don't get depressed. You're just sad. You're being a baby. Like, grow up, whatever. It's like, oh no, like depression is a serious like condition
that's a real
that
thing.
affects people. Of course, I didn't know until it was too late, and I'm waking up in a hospital bed. But the way that game portrays it, and the way the character, like, when you are succeeding and you get locked in these certain rooms and you have to take on all these enemies and you get done, and he takes his sword and he stabs it into the ground twice. He goes ding ding, and it's just this moment where you're like, yeah,
yes.
buddy. And then you get to the next room and he cripples over and starts coughing blood, and it's like every time it happens it like almost chokes me up, and I'm like, this game is fucking powerful without words, anything. And like, maybe if I didn't go through what I went through, it wouldn't have that effect on me. Same connection, yeah. I wouldn't have that connection, but because of that,
that's fine.
And I haven't even talked about the gameplay. The gameplay is like Zelda meets fucking Bloodborne or Dark Souls. Like, it's not nearly as hard as those games.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, but it is very much like skill. It's fair. Like, when you die, you're like, I fucked up. The bosses are super hard, but when you die, you're like, I fucked up. And then you pay attention to the patterns and you learn. But a lot of it is like Zelda, where you're exploring, you're unlocking new gear, new skills that you can do. Because it's basically, you have a gun, you have a sword, and then you have a dash ability. That's literally 98% of like what you do in that game.
Nice. But
then it's an old school game where stuff is hidden. I'm going to talk about it more later, but I wanted to talk about the emotional attachment and why that like brought it all the way up to my number 3.
No, that makes sense.
Hyper Light Drifter, $20. I've put easily probably 8 hours into it, and I'm only halfway through, and that's not even like finding everything, because there's a lot of secret areas and stuff. It's a remarkable game, and like, I wish I could thank this guy personally. There's actually a short documentary about the guy who made the game on Vice.com, or you can go to YouTube's Vice gaming channel, Waypoint, and it's on there. I'm playing through it currently, and it shot up my list, not because of like, oh, it's fresh and I'm playing it right now. It's because
it has that connection to you and stuff. No, that makes a lot of sense. So, I don't know why I keep saying this, but I feel like my number 2 out of all the games will surprise you the most, but not really when I explain it. Because it's number 2 out of retrospect for 10, the 2016. But I put the Jackbox TV Party Pack on there.
Oh, that's awesome.
1 or 2. And the main reason is because, like, it's been too long, to be honest with you. Me, my brother, my fiance, well, it was my girlfriend at the time, I think.
That's how long ago it was.
Yeah, and his fiance all came together to Zach's house, and played Jackbox Party Pack 2, I think it was, to be specific. Yeah. And it was just so much fun, because A, I got to hang out with my brother, B, we were both with 2 non-gamers, and we just chilled, and we just had fun. And Jackbox is one of those things that I brought over to friend's house to play. I've played with Monica, just her and I. It's one of those games that just like, it's just fun, and there's not too much involved with it.
Well, and it shows what video games can do, like how versatile they are, because you couldn't play this as a board game.
No.
But you play it on a system, and everybody uses their cell phone, something everybody has, and then it's just fun.
Yeah. Like, you get the ones that we played was like a this or that, and stuff like that. I'm not going to explain every game that's within it. You just have to try it for yourself. But it's something I always recommend people when they're first getting a system, especially if they have a family or if they have a group of friends or something. It's something I always suggest. So, like, when I went to my one of my friends, Paul's house, which is her brother, I brought that to his family, and they all loved it. Even they had somebody who hates getting involved with certain things or whatever. I showed them all you have to do is use your phone. Something you use, like you said, all the time. But the most fun I had with it is when I got to hang out. We got to do this again, so I'm almost like making it like a call out. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm trying to make it to where the night we do it, Mom
Yeah, our mom watches Grayson or
overnight.
something. Yeah.
So then we could be as loud as we want.
Like
and
it's
I can get fucking hammered.
Yeah, and we did pretty well, but I'll say Zach got drunk. It was funny, but so that's my number 2. It's fun. Mm-hmm. There's not much to it. There is some like trivia, and there's even certain games. There's enough different varieties of games you can skip over ones you don't want to play.
Yeah, there was one that was stupid, but then one that I thought would be stupid ended up being one of the funniest.
Funniest ones.
Yeah, the sound one. Where you combine the sound effects.
You can't even explain it because it's like you combine sounds with the title, and it's just hilarious. Hilarity ensues. So that's my number 2.
Okay. My number 2, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because I talked about it on the podcast already. And this is one of those things where if these 2 games had switched dates, either one of them could have been in the number 2 spot, I guarantee it. But because Deus Ex came out at the right time and I was in the mood for his, stealth game, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, game's fucking awesome.
The pre-order thing was bullshit, but
it really wasn't. Like,
I didn't hate
it's free content. It was free content. Like, you didn't have to I don't know. There's a lot of... I like Jim Sterling's content, but a lot of times I feel like Jim Sterling annoys the shit out of me with the stuff he bitches about. And he's like, and don't give me the excuse that you don't have to buy it. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? That's like...
It's the British accent that gets me, I think.
Yeah, he has a British accent. I think he lives in Alabama or something like that.
Yeah.
He lives down south somewhere.
He's like stuck being British, though.
Yeah.
That was like... there's a guy named Carl Plinkton that I like to watch his stuff every once in a while.
SpongeBob?
Huh?
SpongeBob?
No.
I know.
Yeah.
Character name.
Anyways, but not to cut you off. Go ahead with your number 2.
Deus Ex is... I beat the whole game without fucking killing anyone. Nice. I didn't kill even the big bad guy at the end of the game. I took him out and locked his ass up. And that's why, Dishonored 2 could have easily taken this spot if it had came out at the exact week that Deus Ex had come out.
Yeah.
It would have been the same thing. And I guarantee you, give me a month, or give me after Horizon Zero Dawn comes out.
Yeah.
And I beat that, because that's my number 1 anticipated game. We should do an anticipated games for 2017. Because for me, Horizon Zero
Biohazard, Resident Evil.
Yeah. Anyways, I teeter-totter on that one. There's certain videos I see where I'm like, that game looks like shit. There's other times I'm like, oh, it is Resident Evil. It's just first person. But then, why can't you kill this guy? And why does this... I don't know. We'll see how the final game plays out.
Yeah.
But Deus Ex, I beat the whole game. Didn't set off an alarm. Didn't fucking kill a single person. Loved every second of it. Did a second playthrough where I murdered everything. And it played just as beautiful that way. And the decisions actually have an effect on the game and what goes on. It's a really good game.
Yeah. So my number one, Forza 3. Just Forza. Excuse me.
Is it Forza Horizon?
No.
It would have to be Forza Horizon 3, or is Forza 6 is the newest Forza?
Forza 6.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
I
forgot to write the number.
Yeah, that came out last year. Forza Horizon 3 was this year.
Yeah, this year. So Forza 6. I forgot to write the number. I was just so excited. This game made me miss how much I enjoyed racing games. Because I look back at our history. A lot of times when I play games, I always think of what I played when I was young. Mm-hmm. And you and I played the shit out of some racing games. You know what I mean? Combat Cars we played. We played the Need for Speed Most Wanted or whatever.
Remember Need for Speed?
Hot Pursuit?
No, there was the other one. Porsche Unleashed or something.
Porsche Unleashed, yeah. All those games. And I played recent racing games, even before that, ATV Off-Road Fury 2, that was another one or whatever.
Those games are dope. I always see that MX vs ATV game on the PlayStation Store.
Yeah. I want to get it, but at the same, Forza, to me, the reason why it's so great is the graphics are amazing. Racing in the rain is unfucking believable and fun and just amazing. I don't know how other words that can purge out of my mouth. Racing in the dark is great, and the best part is you can customize it to how you like to race. That's the greatest part. You can break your car down to parts of things that I don't even know. where you can figure out what kind of drive shaft you want to drive with, all these different characteristics, and then you can even customize your vehicle to like places I'm not even comfortable with. Like right now, I'm in the second racing series. I'm driving a Ford Raptor, and my truck is designed as a Jurassic Park truck.
Oh, did you download it on?
Yeah, I took it from somebody else. I didn't make it my own. I'm sorry. I will get to that point where I design my own, but for right now, since I'm still in the, getting comfortable with everything, but it's just so much fun because you can put it on easy if you want. I have it on above average difficulty, and I turned off the lanes where it tells you to drive, and also turned off the braking assist. So everything I'm pretty much doing. There's some things that still I think helps me on. So like my damage isn't turned up all the way or whatever.
I'm sure you have anti-lock braking because you can even turn that off.
Yeah,
it's fucking.
Yeah, it's insane. The graphics on that game, like the tracks that they put on there, is amazing. The racing is fair and fun, and it's just I've had so much of a blast, and it blew my mind. Like I got it kind of on a whim. Like Monica's like, "Do you want any games?" Like blah blah blah. Like if you did get an Xbox One, like she was kind of hinting towards it, and I was like, whatever. Like I threw off 2 that I really wanted, like the Pac-Man game or whatever, and then I threw Forza up there because I watched some videos on it, like the reviews and stuff. I'm like, maybe I can get back into racing. It's been so long.
See, and I think if you were to pick up Forza Horizon next, Forza Horizon 3, which actually came out this year, that's gonna make even that game look like garbage to you. You're gonna love that.
Yeah, I watched
off-road, street,
everything. It's unlimited on that one. So
that's the game. Forza Horizon 3 is why I bought my Xbox One, but then I realized that there's not enough exclusives to keep me on that system.
But what I'm saying, like, even for Forza, since this is my number one, I want to talk about it a little bit longer, is, holy crap, it's split screen. I don't know how to explain this. Need for Speed Most Wanted, you can't play split screen. Like, I mean, good lord, like, figure it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like that, and you can't say because of the graphics, because I looked at Forza and I'm like, holy shit, I'm driving a real car. Yeah. You can even get on the cockpit of your car, or whatever you want to call it, behind the steering wheel and everything. The one thing it's missing, and I'm sure there's a way to do it, is custom soundtracks, which I'm sure there's a way to do it. I just don't know.
Xbox, you can't. Like, if you want to do custom soundtracks in a game, the whole time you have to have portion of the screen taken up.
Oh, okay.
It's not like PS4 where you can put whatever you want.
Like the Spotify or something?
Yeah, but it'll break out onto the side of your screen.
Oh, okay.
That's another reason I got rid of it, because I was playing Sunset Overdrive. And I was like, I'm just going to put some music on. It's like, clunk.
Yeah, so that's disappointing. So maybe I'll just like listen to my...
But that's not Forza's fault. Forza's awesome.
Yeah. But my final statement is, like, for people, if you've missed racing or you don't enjoy racing, start here. Mm-hmm. Even over Gran Turismo. Nothing against Gran Turismo.
No, Gran Turismo sucks these days.
But from what I've heard, I don't know 100% is true because I didn't do too much research, is like you have to trial run for a lot of things to get to where you need to or something. Like you have to, I don't know. Like,
well, the new Gran Turismo is not even out yet.
So. Well, the ones before, you know, like you had to trial run or whatever. Yeah, stuff. Get your license, everything. This, no. You buy a car, you pick a car, you can keep it. You earn new cars. It's so much fun. So that was my number one.
I'd play that in split screen. Like, that's what sucked is like I didn't even hold on to the Xbox long enough to play Forza Horizon 3 because I was like,
I'll get it and we'll invite you over. I'll invite you
over. Because it was just one of those things where for me, like, I have so much in the PlayStation ecosystem.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I should sell this before the price goes down when the Xbox One S comes out. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I made most of my money back on it, and I was like, but yeah, the Forza games, like that's my biggest thing that I hate about being a PlayStation guy is I don't have that series.
Yeah. Any
other series on Xbox, like
it's a give and take. Yeah.
But I wish I could just get a Forza game on my fucking PS4. or a fucking Need for Speed game that isn't always online, so you can't even pause a race. In a single-player racing game, I couldn't pause.
You can do that in Forza. I was racing one time, and my steak was getting done. I'm like, hold on. Ding.
Because remember with Need for Speed, I just gave you that motherfucker. I was like,
you
take
did.
this.
And I went to play and I was like,
pissed.
nah, I'm good. There's no split screen. Nah, I'm good.
I was pissed. So, my number one game is the number one game of 2016. No matter what anybody else says, like, this game was 10 years in the making. And, look, no, I honestly, I talked about it already too much on the podcast. Final Fantasy 15 was addicting, just flat out. And it's one of those things where, like, there's one portion of that game that is one of the worst things I played this year.
Is it the car? I heard a lot of people complain about the car. That's the most complaints.
And it makes no sense. Like, all it is
I'm just
like,
saying that's the most complaints I've heard is the car thing.
which, that's a good sign about a game, considering all the car is like, you set a destination, you put your controller down, you play on your phone for the 2 minutes it takes you to get there. Until you get there the first time, then you can just fast travel to it every time. But there's a whole section, and the internet and everybody knows it as Chapter 13.
The Chapter 13, yeah.
But this game is so good that even though that portion of the game was one of the most annoying, terrible things I played this year,
yeah,
that it's still my favorite game of this year. It's a masterpiece. Like, the combat, the way you customize the combat, the way you're getting different weapons, and it's not like Diablo. You're not constantly getting new things, but that gives you time to play around with what you have and hone in on what works. And then you get a new weapon, and it could be better than the weapon you already have, but you could be used to this playstyle you have that you're like, well, I'm not even going to use that right now. Like, I'm going to then go into this other skill tree and build that up to where now when I use that weapon in particular, I'm stronger. The characters I thought I would hate turned out to be awesome. One in particular who's like the most annoying, there's a revelation about his character towards the end of the game. It's like in that Chapter 13 thing. Like, the story stuff going on in Chapter 13 is cool. The rest of it, like, the gameplay is bad. But there's a revelation about that character.
Excuse me.
And it's just like, oh man, you know what, Prompto? You are a little badass. You know what, dude? Like, I understand where you're coming from. And, like, you feel like an outside. So, that game, I had to put it down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got to this point where, and if you look at my trophy list, I only have 5 trophies left that I need to get. They're all super easy to get. They're just a little time consuming. But I decided to put it down. I'm going to see how the DLC pans out. And if the DLC ends up good, I'm going to wait till all the DLC is out, pick up the season pass, pick up the game again, and
run through it.
Yeah, get my platinum trophy, play through the DLC, because I want the DLC to be good.
Yeah.
Because this game hooked me, wouldn't let me go. I don't know. It's been a long time since a game grabbed me by the balls.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be at work thinking about it. I would, get done eating dinner, and there's like a certain thing I need to find in the game, so I'm writing down the materials, like taking notes.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that game, like, one of these days I'll talk you into playing it.
Yeah. So, we're a little bit over, but I do want to get the Xbox One thing out of the way. It'll just take 10 minutes.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you want to wait till next week and we'll do a big blowout on Xbox
Well,
One?
I want to talk about something first, and then next week we'll do where I talk about the Xbox One experience overall. But it's something I kind of wanted to share with you in the first place, but I haven't got to talk to you about it, so I might as well do it here.
Mm-hmm.
Is one of the things I didn't do this year, like, there's a lot of things I'll post on social media, like when I achieve something, or like when I got engaged and stuff like that, but there's some things that I just don't. And when I got an Xbox One on Christmas, I just didn't really share it. And the reason why was just like, you and I grew up and we didn't really have a lot. Like, we had a lot for what we had, you know what I mean? But we just didn't have what certain people had. So, like, when I got it, like, I was so appreciative of it because I know monetary-wise, beyond the money, like, what it took for Monica to earn that within her position. Because even though she's a teacher she's a private teacher, she still doesn't make that much. You know what I mean? And for her to take an investment like that for me was like something that like I almost like in a weird selfish way I just wanted to enjoy for myself.
Oh, and then I ruined the surprise.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
And that's what I told because it turned into kind of a fiasco in a weird way, and it wasn't meant to be offensive, but we went to her brother's house and her brother got a PS4, and I had got an Xbox One S or whatever, and I just didn't tell him that, hey, I got an Xbox One. Like, he asked me what I got for Christmas. I told him about the calendars I got and different things like that. I just left that off the table. And when I was trying to explain to Monica, it's like, even though I know he can afford to go get this, I felt like if I told him that I got that when he had something like that, it was like a bragging type thing. Or not even a bragging thing, like, oh, I got one too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's just one of those situations when I get big things monetary wise, I still don't feel 100% comfortable with it. You know what I mean? Even though, like, A, she obviously could afford it because she got it from me, and B, she felt like throughout the year that I deserved something like that. It was still hard for me to fathom that, like, this person, you know, especially with some of the things I've been through relationship wise and in life, did this for me. You know what I mean? So, like, I felt bad not even telling you at Christmas, like, oh, I got an Xbox One S, blah, blah, blah. But I was just like, I just want to enjoy this time with my family. I'm going to go home and play it. And then I'll share that I played a game, and then I'm sure my brother will catch it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's weird to explain. And it might sound stupid. It's just, it's hard for me to, like, be boastful sometimes, even if I deserve it.
Yeah. I mean, I just, like, think about, so, like, when I bought this house, I didn't take a bunch of pictures. I didn't post anything except for the day I closed on the house, I fucking bought a house.
Yeah.
Or Emily and I bought a house. That's all I posted, moved on. When, you know, as we talked about, we don't come from a house where everybody had, you know, huge TVs and PlayStations in the room and stuff. Like, when I bought that big-ass TV, which after having this tiny TV for years, I didn't post about it at all.
Yeah.
And the only reason you found out about it is you came over, like, 2 weeks after I got it, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's a new TV.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get on social media, like, because that's what it is. That's most of the time when people are like, check out this new thing I got. It's bragging. It's, you know, look at me, look what I did, you know. And then the PS4 Pro, like, you know, I got that, and once again, you didn't know about it until you showed up at my house. I was like, oh, this is the Pro. I guess it runs a little better. Looks a little better.
Here's some 4K.
Like, I don't know, but that's who we are, I guess. It's not, and you don't have to answer to anybody for it.
Yeah. It just, I felt like I had to explain it to Monica because she didn't understand, you know what I mean? And, like, because it's like, it's not like I don't like your brother or consider him a friend of mine. It's just like, it's one of those situations where I'll share a lot of different things on social media. Hey, I got engaged. Work is doing this to me, or here's a picture of my cat. You know what I mean? Or something weird, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, for, like, even when I go to get my house, I'll probably do the same thing you do. Is be like, hey, here's my house. Like, when I get married, I'll probably post a couple pictures, but that's, like, a different type of moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, like, me investing my money. But this is somebody investing their money to me, or even when I invest my own money, be like, hey, this is something, you know, or whatever. And it was just hard to explain, and I just wanted to explain it again here, as people, obviously, if they listen to this, be like, oh, you have an Xbox One? Because I really still haven't shared it. I just post, like, games I've played, and maybe, like, a controller shot or something, but it wasn't like, oh, fuck yeah, you know.
Did you see you can order custom Xbox One controllers?
Yeah, I have, I already have one. It's not really a custom one, though. It's a Gears of War one.
Well, no, you can, like, customize.
Yeah.
It costs extra, but, like, you can put your name on it. You can put whatever you want.
I was thinking about getting one of, like, my tattoo, which I guess I can't show you on the podcast, but I have, like, a Batman tattoo or whatever. I just thought that'd be, like, so sweet to have that, like, on a controller. But, yeah, so next week, we'll dive more onto my overall experience so far. Any final thoughts? Because I know your back is killing you. He slipped on some ice.
Oh, yeah. Like, you can literally, if you walk out...
You can see the, like...
You
like
see,
a chalk line.
Yeah, you see the, like, first step, like, where I put my foot down on the ice first this morning, then you see where my heel dragged and slid into the air, and then where my body landed.
You don't even need Dexter to find out the blood fly. You know, it's like,
yeah.
Seriously.
And my God, my back, like, and after it happened, it really wasn't that bad. I went into work, you know, and like freezing my ass off. I go into work, and you know, I'm in the cold a lot of the day, and you know, it's not bothering me too bad. And I get home and I sit down for like 10 minutes, and all of a sudden,
where it's like warm and your muscles are like,
fuck you. And now, like, we need to get
real chairs.
We either need to get real chairs, or we need to next time bring those fucking bean bags in here.
Yeah, if you don't know, well, it's kind of on the picture, but we have like 2 like stadium chairs, like not even. It's like metal.
These are like for people going to an open house where they're only going to be there for 10 minutes to eat.
Listen, it's the only thing I could afford at the time.
No, I'm not complaining in terms of that, but like, right,
it's rough.
I'm sitting on a pillow and my back is still
half the podcast, even when his back's not hurting. Like if you saw a video of us, like we move around like so much.
Trying not to knock the mic
because I have Hank Hill ass. Final thoughts. Sorry,
my last final thoughts. One of which is a game I want to try playing with you. Shit, I can't. It doesn't have. Never mind.
But what game was it?
Well, it's called Live Lock.
Oh, I know.
And it's like a top-down isometric. It's kind of like Dead Nation.
Oh, okay.
But it's a lot like Dead Nation, actually. It's like you level up and stuff. It's not like random weapon drops, but like there's a huge arsenal to choose from. Like, that's awesome. I'm going to talk more about Hyper Light Drifter next week because, like, yeah, that game, it's really hitting me in, like, personal spots, and also, like, I'm halfway through it. I beat 2 of the bosses, and if you would have seen me fighting the first boss last night, I was going nuts because I was getting so angry, and then when I beat it, I screenshotted it. I don't think I shared it. I shared, like, a screenshot of the art last night, but I screenshotted it because I beat the first boss with no health packs left and 1 square
like
of health
a tablet
left.
of health.
Like, and if one of the birds would have hit me one more time, I would have been dead.
You could have been breathe on and you would have died.
Yeah, and I like killed him, and I was like, yeah, and I screenshot it. I was like, fuck yeah.
Nice.
But I'll be talking about those more, and another game that I just started called Dex, which is like a 2D side-scrolling RPG where it's like a beat 'em up and a shooter, and it's like Blade Runner, which to me is awesome.
Nice. So my final thoughts: Happy New Year, 2017, looking strong so far. I like to talk about some of the games that we're looking forward to, and then next week I'll talk about me playing the Xbox One. What's it been like? How much fun have I had with it yet? Spoiler alert, a lot, but not as much as I thought, to be fair. To be fair. But,
shoot.
it has been worth every dollar that Monica spent.
Did you get the 1S?
Yeah, I did. The one with the snake.
You should bring it over.
Yeah.
And I'll go buy a 4K Blu-ray, and we'll watch whatever movie you want to see in 4K.
Nice.
Because
it can play
the Pro doesn't have the 4K Blu-ray player, but the Xbox One S does. And I thought about buying one just so I could buy 4K Blu-rays.
4K, just have like a blind, comparison blind. But it's a lot of fun, and I have a shitload of games for it because Monica got me like a Master Chief collection, like all these like cheap games that come with multiple games or whatever. So that's nice.
That game you can't save either.
Whenever you want.
Yeah, you have to beat a mission.
For it to say, I'll have to look into it.
When you're doing split screen co-op.
Yeah.
If you don't beat a whole mission,
you can't save it like halfway through.
No, but if you're playing single player, you can save at checkpoints.
Yeah.
Because me and Emily, that was one of the games that I got with
the Master Chief Collection, yeah.
Oh god, we're still recording. I'm standing up because I can't take it anymore.
Yeah, no, okay, let me get my final thought on him and I can just bullshit after. So I'll talk about that. And another thing I want to talk about is, I can't remember what I was going to say, damn it. But yeah, so that's it. Talk to you later. Have fun.